Okay, boys and girls, yesterday one of the things that Miss Ernest and I realized as we were conferencing with a lot of you is that there is some confusion here about what it means to cite the text. During some of the conferences I was having yesterday, I asked about citing the text, and most of the time the response was, but there are quotations. And so today I want to teach you what the difference is between citing the text and quoting the text, because there is a difference. And I want to give you the opportunity to practice with me, and then I want to give you the opportunity to practice with a partner, and then I want to give you an opportunity to revise your work. Okay? Yesterday we noticed that within the body paragraph, we need to follow a pattern. We need to cite the evidence, and that is telling our reader where we got it, what was the source, where did it come from. We need to present the evidence. We can quote directly from the text. We can paraphrase. We can summarize. Summary would be used if you have a long, large section and you just need to briefly mention it. You're going to write a summary of that. Paraphrasing is taking what you've read and putting it into your own words. And quoting, obviously, is picking up and lifting directly from the text certain words and phrases. So I want to show you what we're talking about. So if you could flip back to the activity that we did earlier this week, when we were deciding on evidence that would support an idea, and this should be in your notebook. The very first one that we decided was an appropriate quotation or text evidence to use to support the idea that there is an element of secrecy to the flavoring of food, was they work in top secret laboratories. Okay, we decided that was a really good quote. Well, when you get ready to include it in your body paragraph, it is so important for you to cite it. Now, this quote came from the text set on flavoring food. There were two sources in this text set. One was the article, Are These Chips Too Delicious? And the other one was A Bloody History. This quote comes from the article, Are These Chips Too Delicious? It is in paragraph 1 of the text set. So one of the ways in which you can cite this text is by saying, and please write this down, in the article, and the article title goes in quotes, Are these chips too delicious? And you close the quote after the article title. So in the article, Are These Chips Too Delicious? It states, and I'm going to quote, they work in top secret laboratories. Close the quote. So two things happened in this sentence. The first thing that happened is the article was cited. Remember, we said to cite the article, C-I-T-E-D, cite, make a citation. You are telling your reader where you got the information. So that's the first part of this sentence. In the article, Are These Chips Too Delicious? It states, they work in top secret laboratories. What's another way I could write this? Knowing that it comes from the article, Are These Chips Too Delicious? Paragraph 1. What's another way that I could write this? Pablo? But it comes from paragraph 1. Okay, all right. You could say in paragraph 1, it states, and then you could do your quote. Okay, so 2 different ways that you could say it. Any other ways you could say it? Can anybody think of another way, Braden?
In paragraph 1 of all the ships to illustrate.
Okay, so you could combine them. You could say in paragraph 1 of the article, are these chips too delicious? It states, they work in top secret laboratories. You could also say in the text, it states. In source 1, it states. Okay? It's very important, though, for you to cite it. If you're just giving the quotes and giving the quote that you got from the article without telling the reader where you got it, all right, you're not really providing evidence because you haven't cited it. Okay, so let's look at the second one. These are forbidden from they are forbidden from speaking of their experiments. This also comes from Are These Chips Too Delicious? Paragraph 1. Okay? I don't want you to even think about this one. This is just your model. But right now in your notebook, I want you to cite and present the text evidence for this quote right here. Turn and talk to your partner and together cite and present the text evidence. Write it in your notebook.
Can I be your partner? Sure, great, thanks. Let's look at the sample. The sample is that in the article are these chips delicious? It states they work in Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna say in the article are these chips delicious? It says they are in the article it states this is what we just talked about. What your apartments teaching in the article.
You didn't leave early today. I just taught this to you. You didn't leave early today. I just taught this today. What did I just teach you in the mini lesson? Okay, so why is it that both of you sitting here and you don't know what to do? No, you aren't. You're supposed to be using this one right here, and you're supposed to be writing. You're supposed to be writing a sentence like the first one. This is a problem. You know what to do. Okay, so look at this one right here. This second thing right here comes from right to get a statement like that.
Started the quotation mark here. We're outlining.
But look in that's to look for some tacos.
Perfect.
You're working
So
on
then now you have to
this one right here. It's right in front of you.
from the text. So you said in the article they are forbidden.
Yes. And this.
Perfect.
What happens to the first word in the sentence? We're putting the first word in the sentence.
They are forbidden.
Okay, so let's go ahead and share what you wrote. Laura. Laura, can you tell me what you and Vincent wrote as a citing of the text evidence?
In the article, are these chips too delicious? It states that they're forbidden from speaking of their experience.
Now, are those words in quotation marks? Okay. So what she said, if you didn't hear her, in the article, are these chips too delicious? It states that, open the quotes, they are forbidden from speaking of their experiments, period, close the quotes. Did anybody write their statement in a different way? Ahmed? Okay, so Ahmed said, in the article, it states, open the quotes, they are forbidden from speaking of their experiments, period, close the quotes. Okay, anybody write it in a different way? Pablo?
In paragraph 1, it states they are forbidden from speaking of their experiments.
Okay, in paragraph 1, it states, open the quotes, they are forbidden from speaking of their experiments, period, close the quotes. Okay? 3 different ways in which you can cite the text evidence and quote it. Okay? Is this getting a little bit easier? Okay? Let's practice another one. Let's jump down here and look at this one right here. It says, by keeping their sources secret, they could control the spice trade. Now, this quote comes from A Bloody History. It's paragraph 3. It's paragraph 3 of A Bloody History. So turn with the same partner. Try to see if you can write it in a different way than you wrote it the first way. So go ahead and cite this text evidence and quote it.
That's what we're going to do, yeah. So instead of doing it, she wants to try to compare that. Instead of saying the article, how else could we do it? Let's see, it's from paragraph number 8, from paragraph 3. Yes.
Yeah, the title of the article, Nicholas, the title of an article gets capitalized, right? If you read the A at the beginning. And the title of an article is in quotation marks, correct? Except that this the quote that I'm
What
going
did
to
you
say
decide?
comes from a bloody history.
Okay.
But you said, are these chips too delicious? So make sure you fix that and write that in your notebook for me.
Do you have yours glued in here? Why don't you use yours?
Okay. Carly, are you ready to share? All right. Isabella, are you ready to share? Okay. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to finish writing. Actually, okay, we're going to share some. I want you to listen carefully to what people are sharing. Go ahead, Blake.
In paragraph 3 in Bloody History, it informs that by keeping their sources secret, they can control the spice trade.
Now that quote, is it in quotation marks? Okay, so make sure you say that when you're writing in the air. Make sure you're saying that because I can't see your paper. Okay. All right. So start me off again. In A Bloody History, paragraph 3. Is that what you said? Okay, in paragraph 3 of, in quotation marks, A Bloody History, because that's the title, it states, what did it state?
By keeping their sources secret, they can control the spice trade.
Okay, so in quotation marks, because this is a direct quote, by keeping their sources secret, comma, they could control the spice trade, period, close the quotes. Okay, did anybody write it or say it in a different way? Aurora?
I wrote in the article, A Bloody History, in paragraph 3, the text says, by keeping their resources secret, they could control the spice trade.
Okay, just don't forget your period there. Okay, what did you write, Davian?
No, I didn't say it was this.
Okay, I think maybe the two of you are going to work with me during our work time because you're having trouble getting focused and knowing what to do. So when we go to work time, independent work time, you're going to come to the table with me. Okay, one last thing I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go ahead and look inside you brought the body paragraph that you have been writing for your compare and contrast essay on hamburgers and tacos. So I want you to look at your very first body paragraph, and I would like you to reread it with your partner and make sure that you have cited text evidence. If you haven't, I want you to revise it right now. Yes. All right, boys and girls, stop for a second. Kendall has a really good question. She wants to know if you need to cite every single quote. For example, do you need to say, in the article, are these two chips too delicious? It states, quote, they work in top secret laboratories, unquote. In the article, are these chips too delicious? It states, quote, they are forbidden from speaking of their experiments, unquote. You don't have to say that each time, okay? But the first time you say it, you want to either name the paragraph or name the title. After that, you can say, the text also says, or in addition, okay? So unless you've kind of strung your information together by just taking certain words out and putting your own words into, you're going to cite it the first time by using the title or the paragraph number, and then afterwards you just have to say, the text also says, or the article also says, something like that, okay? All right, good question, good question. Okay, go ahead and work with your partner to revise your body paragraph from
It also says
Blake, have a seat. Have a seat.
That's still article. It states. Well, I'm making it also that.
Maybe you don't have to include it.
Okay, here's my second body part. Next, hamburgers and Next,
Okay, boys and girls, what I'd like to do before we go to independent time is I would like to go ahead and share something that you have that fits this requirement in your own body paragraph on hamburgers and tacos. So Nicholas, could you read one of your sentences for me?
Okay, one of my sentences about which one? About just any sentence?
Well, I would like to have a sentence in which you cite text evidence.
Okay, it's in paragraph 5 it says during the 1800s millions of Germans immigrated to the U.S.
Okay, all right. The only thing that I would say is that I'm wondering if that quote, what is it that they brought it to the? Do you go on to say that they brought the hamburger with them? Because that quote itself, saying that millions of Germans came to the United States, doesn't really support the fact that, doesn't state in there explicitly that they brought the hamburger with them. So hopefully in the next sentence
You said it also said Germans growl, their stomachs growl for food.
but that still doesn't state that they brought the hamburger to the United States.
Oh,
So,
it's like later in this.
okay, but remember that you don't want to go on for too long and include lots of text evidence that doesn't directly impact your main idea. Okay, that would be a perfect place for you to summarize because it's so much text.
I
Okay,
didn't put so much text about that, like right here.
well, it
says
just,
something.
when you're reading it, it does sound like it is a lot. Kendall, could you read me a sentence from your body paragraph, please?
In source to the text author.
Okay, stop for a second. Why don't you hand it to me because I'll put it up here. Can you see where it is? Give it a second, guys. Point 2 for me.
I revised right here.
Okay, all right. In source, she has it over here. In source 2, the text also states, Mexican immigrants had been pouring into California cities, bringing with them recipes for their favorite dishes. Okay, so can you see how she did that? She introduced it. Now, she's continuing information. She's continuing information from the same article. So that's why she says in source, well, she says the text also states, okay, in source 2. All right, so be careful to make sure that you are citing that text. Where does the information come from? Also be careful that what the text evidence you're providing, okay, directly impacts your main idea. It has to do with them bringing the food to the United States. And the only reason I say that, Nicholas, is because time management and space management. If you put a lot of text, extraneous text in there that doesn't directly tie in, then you're using up a lot of space and you're taking a lot of time. So just keep that in mind, okay? So you could say, in the 1800s, immigrants came to our country, and they wanted to eat the food from their home, from where they came from. Okay, so you can summarize that. Yes.
Divine kind of did that. She doesn't want to share this, but I was going to share for her
Okay.
because I thought she did a nice job with that same. She had that same line that Nicholas was trying to use,
Okay.
but then ended up summarizing after her quote.
Oh, perfect.
So she said, "Oh, now I'm going to find where it was." All right. Oh, here we go. In the article, it says, open quote, during the 1800s, millions of Germans immigrated to the U.S., ... Their stomachs growled for food from their native land, period, end quote. Something from their native land is hamburgers. The reason that hamburgers are called that is to represent the city of Hamburg in Germany.
Okay, perfect. So she's saying more in her own words.
In her own words.
Okay. All right. Sounds perfect. I gave that to you. Would you pass that to Divine for me, please? Okay, so let's talk about what you're going to do during independent time. Before you, because I know that several of you were still working on your body paragraphs, but before you continue to work on that and finish that up, I would like you to go back, reread your first body paragraph. Make sure you cited your text evidence. Thank you, Kendall. Make sure you cited your text evidence. Make sure that you have named the sources of where you're getting your text evidence. Then once you've finished revising your writing, your body paragraphs, then you can finish writing them. Please do not move into writing your conclusion yet. If you finish the task, because some of you will, because some of you already got this, but if you finish the task before the end of our work time, and it's going to be very shortly, but if you finish your task, pull out your Spice Wars. Okay, pull out your Are These Chips Too Delicious? And your food flavoring, your A Bloody History text set, and work and practice on those body paragraphs. Okay, work and practice, because the practice is what's going to make it automatic. The practice is what's going to make it happen without thinking. Okay, you'll need to practice it. Yes.
Are these chips too delicious just going to always be a practice, or is it going to be something we're going to publish and turn into?
I'm not even sure we're going to publish either one of these. Okay, but I want you to practice that. Your work within the body paragraphs is vital, and we need to practice that. We need to make that super strong. Okay. All right. Any other questions before you move into independent time? Okay. Please go ahead.